Okay. Looks like it's live. Decent connection this afternoon so far. Going to be painting some Oathsworn. Where did the chat go? There it is. Hey Brian. How you doing? Let me know if the sound and the video and stuff looks all right. Yeah, it was a long wait, Brian. I came in on whatever day I was on with Barrett, Wednesday, I think. Came in on Wednesday. Like 3.5 months of fulfillment for this game, which is insane. So I did a little bit yesterday. So I think I'm going to be playing the Penitent, the Priest, and I want to try the Cur. I haven't seen much about the Cur. This is just primed. I haven't painted this, haven't even started painting this yet. And the Huntress. I think these are going to be my 4 that I play with. Thanks, Brian. So I'm painting up these 4. I started with the Penitent yesterday. I think I'm done with this, except I might want to put some grass or tufts or something on the base. And I also did the Priest yesterday. I might do another dry brush on the cape. It doesn't come through very well on the camera, but I can see the highlights on the folds in the cape. But I'm just wondering, since it's not coming through on the camera, if it needs a little bit more contrast, so maybe like another dry brush on top of the purple. But I really like how the symbol on the book came out, and the fleur-de-lis on the side there is in brass, and on his knee pad, the metal is kind of reflecting the light, so it's hard to see, but the fleur-de-lis on his knee pad came out nice in brass also. So the same thing, I might add some grass tufts or something else to the Priest, to the base. I'm keeping them on these little homemade handle things that I have until I put some varnish on them. And I've started to block in some colors on her. Oh yeah, on the back here, yeah. I think those might be like sensors, you know, those things that priests walk around with that have like smoke coming out of them, or incense or whatever burning inside of them. I think that's what those are, because they're like hanging from chains off of this little metal piece on the side here. Oh, you know what I just noticed? I did not get the belt buckle. So when I get some metal out, I need to do the belt buckle. I was saving that for the last thing and I forgot to do it. It's a good thing you brought up the tassels, Brian. I never would have noticed that. Yeah, so I started to block in some colors on her. I've always wanted to do different colors of rats on the back ever since I saw this model. So I blocked in some colors and then I washed it. So I'm gonna try to figure out, I'm not sure if I want to go back and dry brush like some highlights on top of the rats, or if I'm going to bank on the tails and the little hands that are sticking out, and the ears and the noses, adding enough color that I can just move on with her. So I still need to do the scurry spots, and I got to do the spine on the tail and the little claws obviously all the tails and the noses and hands for the rats on top. Then everything else on the base. But the base should be fast. And then her face, I got to do her. I haven't done anything on the inside of her mouth at all. But I think I'm happy with where the fur is at the moment. I added just tiny little subtle bits of purple underneath that just barely come through, but I think that's okay because the art, if I remember correctly, has like tiny hints of purple in it, which might actually come through a little bit more. I don't know if you can tell, but there's like a little bit of shade of purple like down in these recess areas where it's a little darker. I mean, it's not coming through really well as purple. Man, that the new Citadel washes are kind of satiny. Like, look how shiny these rats are, and they've got the new Agrax Earthshade on them. It's not entirely gloss, but it's definitely, I don't know, kind of satiny, maybe. The Agrax Earthshade did turn, which I'm glad I did do some really light gray rats, but it kind of it made them look really dirty. Like there was a light gray one there and there. So we'll see. Maybe I'll work a little bit on her while, if there's anything on the characters that are drawing, but I think I'm going to work on the Huntress today. Let's take a peek at the character art. This is going to be a extremely green character. I need to move this water. There's just a lot of green there. And I think the lore in the book said like the arrows and like her bow and stuff might like come out of her, like she just creates them from her body, which is highly interesting. But I think just for some color interest, I'll do some browns. Like I might make her quiver brown and her bow a kind of brown. Obviously there's going to be brown for this huge tree trunk on the base. And there's a little bit of orange in this art on the blade, which is on the opposite side on the sculpt than it is in the picture, but that's, that's fine. So we'll get some kind of like orangish yellow on that blade eventually. So I want to run through the greens that I have available. So I'm going to use this paper towel. I've got some speed paint greens here, and I'm going to start with these more transparent types of paints. Her skin in the art is definitely more of a yellow type of green. So this is malignant green, and it's definitely more yellow. So I want to see what that one looks like. Then we've got orc skin, camo cloak, and absolution green. Then I've also got a creed camo contrast color. This is going to be way too bright, this warp lightning, I think. So I don't even know if I'm going to look at that one. We've got orc flesh and militarum green. This needs to be mixed, obviously. So I'm gonna do like a yellow for, probably this one will end up being, we'll see how that looks for the parts that kind of look like flesh. And I might try to do a blend down her hair. we'll see. We'll have to go fast with that while the paint is still wet. So what I'm going to do here is just get a sample of what these look like. Is that enough paint? Now this is extremely yellow. That might be fine. It's drying a little green. This is really bright. So if I washed that with Agrath's Earthshade, that would dull it down a little bit. I kind of want to go for, we'll see. I mean, some of these don't like do the get into the recesses thing as much as I would like. Wow, that one's pretty dark. That's not even the potentially darkest color. Yeah, that one's almost black, which might be fine like for the tips. Or I don't know, maybe the edging or something. I really like the scale of these miniatures. I don't have to use all these transparent paints for everything. I'd like to see how it goes. So those are the speed paints. This one is Creed Camo. That's pretty close to the camo cloak color, but slightly darker. Orc Flesh, this one might be a little bright. No? It's not too bad. Can always add some medium. As soon as possible, Brian. I'm gonna double check on what I need to get finished painting just for the first episode, just so that I can start. Militarum green. So more, this one's more earthy than, and the Creed Camo's a little darker. So hey Matthew. So what I have already I also have already started painting the terrain. They're down in the garage because I'm just using like craft paints on the terrain because they're so big. The trees I have like 80% done, and I think I only need the trees for the first scenario. And I actually might, as soon as I finish my character painting, I may actually do the first episode of the story, because the story could be like an hour, hour and a half. I don't want to post like 4-hour videos, so I'm probably going to do story and encounters in different videos. Definitely going to use this for the skin. maybe Militarum green and Creed camo. I think this is going to be our starting color stuff. Okay. I have not started the little minion rats for the broodmother yet either, though. But those should be quick. All right, let's get some of this out. I think this is the first time I've used this color. It is a very, like, I don't know, weird mustardy green. It's very yellow. Might take a couple of coats. We'll see how it dries. For some of the vines and stuff, I may actually come back with just like a regular acrylic. And by that I mean not like a speed paint or a contrast color. Matthew and Brian, do either of you have, or are either of you playing Oathsworn? I'm being fair. I'm not worried about being super sloppy with this light color on here either. Are you going to look at the Kickstarter on Tuesday? All right. Yeah, I hear you about so many games coming. I mean, I got a couple of deliveries over the last couple of weeks, and some of them I really want to play, but I may just be putting them up for sale because I still have so much stuff already So much stuff that I'm definitely not going to sell, at least right away. Definitely not going to sell unplayed, like ISS Vanguard, and Frosthaven is going to be here before you know it. All right, so we got an extremely yellow, light green on the fleshy parts. Now, I think I'm going to add a little medium, if I can find it. Where are you, Speed Paint Medium? I'm going to have to work quickly for this part. I'm going to try to blend the hair. I'm hoping that medium will let this last a little longer. I baited on ISS Vanguard, but was scared off because of ether fields. Yeah, Awakened Realms is hit or miss for some people. I still haven't decided on. Actually, is the new Tainted Grail still even going? I might have missed it. Normally I don't like to leave pots open like this, but since I want to work fast, I'm going to be playing with fire a little bit. All right, so I'm going to go heavy and deep with the light color. Don't dry on me. And we'll get some medium color. And some dark. And now once this dries, we can come back in and put some more dark and some medium, but it's hard to go back with light after the fact. Which I probably will do just to increase the contrast, but I'm hoping you can see this. Where the hair starts off light at the top and then gets progressively darker. I mean, the way that it's primed, the highlights are really coming through with this transparent paint. I'm going to come back through probably and make this part even darker, so that the light definitely contrasts more with the tip. But I need to let it dry first. Close these up before I spill them. And then decide what I want to do with her armor. I may actually make her, so she's got a little bit of, oops. She's got a little bit of what looks like cloth, like here. And running down the front right here. And then this part, the shoulder, this part on her hand, covering her here, here, and here, kind of looks like armor, but it's all supposed to be like, oh, thanks, Brian. Yeah, I mean, it's starting to dry a little bit now, so you can definitely see the dark, especially at this angle, how it's dark green down here and light green up here. And just for fun, I might do like, I might add some color to this tie. She's got like a tie around her hair right there. I think it'd be funny. There's another tie up here to do like a red scrunchie or something. So I may do one of the brighter greens for the cloth part. This is going to be an extremely green model. The base is going to be like mostly brown. There's a couple of rocks here. And like I said, we'll do orange for this sword. Purple scrunchie, yeah. Can I get polka dots on there? Potentially. That might work. Let me see how it looks with a brighter green. Which one do I want to do? I'm probably going to do this Militarum green for her armor because it's a little bit more muted. This is too bright. Let's try this one. That was the orc flesh. Maybe I'll thin it down a little bit with some contrast medium. That is supposed to lighten up the color. That's not the medium. And I say supposed to because I haven't tried it on every single contrast color. I got this new super bright orange that maybe I can mix with a little bit of this super bright yellow. These are new contrast colors. Like maybe I can mix these to achieve that sword color. Or it's not a sword, it's a dagger, I guess. Maybe we'll mix it on this plastic. I hardly ever throw anything away. Like this thing that I'm using as a dry palette right now, I think is one of the card cases from either Arkham Horror LCG or Lord of the Rings LCG that a deck or a pack or something came in. There's not a whole lot of cloth. So this is like the bad thing about all Games Workshop paints. They come in these pots instead of dropper bottles. Dropper bottle would have been much better there. Now this medium is going to make it so that it takes longer for it to dry too. I saw somebody did a trick where, is this how they did it? To make it drop off? Yes, to make it drop off the top. See what that does. Using an old garbage brush to mix and pull paint out of the pot and stuff. Now, if I think this is too bright, like I was saying earlier, and because this is like a cloth looking part, maybe I'll go back and wash this with Agrath's Earthshade or something. Or I could always go over it again. See what that does to it. Gotta love these impossible to get to spots. Is some of the maybe some of this is clothy looking shirt stuff. And the rest of that will be the more toned down color. Doesn't look too bad, and it'll probably look a lot better once there's the other green. Just clean up my workspace, so I'll be painting again. Really excited. Clutter sucks. Yes, clutter does suck. So I'm actually in the process of, I was talking about this with Bernd, I think. Maybe it was Mill. I'm in the process of setting up a permanent paint / painting streaming area in my garage. Which is requiring me to drill a hole through the wall to get a Cat 5 cable in there, because I don't want to stream over Wi-Fi. But anyway, because this area where I'm right now is where I record all my games and stuff too, so it's not very conducive to continuously taking down everything for painting and then constantly moving everything around, which is why I haven't had as many painting streams and stuff, because it's a lot to move everything around. But once I get that set up, I can do more painting streams, like actually stream every time I'm painting, because I've been painting a lot in the garage already, because I'm getting the space set up. And what made me think about it is getting the space set up and looking at everything. There's a lot of clutter. It's like, wow. I mean, I've been doing this forever, painting. I mean, so over the years and years and years, I've collected a lot of stuff. All right. Let's do these armor areas. This more. I'm actually wondering if I want to use the darker green. I can always go over it and see how it looks. I could go over it again. It's an extremely green character. Yeah, parts of this aren't looking... It could just be the highlighted parts. They're not looking too different than the yellow. The yellower part. was a lot. I need to siphon some of that off of there. Yeah, if I do put a wash on this, which I might, like on the armor part, it'll definitely be a targeted wash instead of a wash over the entire miniature. Because I do not want to wash brown over the yellow. The yellower part. Which could definitely set these armor sections apart from the armory parts, armor-ish parts. I just realized armory might be not be a good word to use with this game because there actually is armory stuff. I did not get the armory stuff though. I don't know, the way that it was primed and dry brushed, the highlights are already coming through. We'll see how it dries. I'm kind of liking this green shadowy-esque look. Let the contrast do its thing, get down into the recesses, let the water evaporate and dry out. Let's put some browns. I think I will use I'm going to use Wildwood. Where's Wildwood? Trying to see where there's a good place to get that orangey kind of glow. That's in the art. I don't know, maybe I'll skip it on the weapon. He's going super quick. I mean, of course, there still is the scrunchie to do. That's gonna look ridiculous, like a bright scrunchie. So Wildwood is one of those colors that you have to know how it works. At least for me, Wildwood works the best when you put it on in a very thin layer. Otherwise it can get really dark. And if you accidentally go over the same spot twice, it gets very noticeable also. So I try to get like a lot of it off of my brush. Before I start using it. It's a really good color though. It was one of the ones right out of the gate that after I figured out to put it on thin. That I really like the result. It's still a little shiny. Once that dries, it's gonna look nice. So I may actually go to the speed paint wood color. No, I'm going to use one of my old faithful wood colors. I like to use this Beastie Brown with a wash over it for wood sometimes. I just want a different color of brown. Don't want that same brown I used for the trunk. Below her feet. So we'll paint this on and then we'll have to come back with a wash over it. I think I said it right at the very beginning, but I love the scale of this game. The miniatures scale. It's slightly bigger than other stuff I've been painting. Like, let me see, I have this is more than slightly bigger, I guess. Let's go from feet to feet. A little bit bigger. This is a Kingdom Death Monster mini. And with these sculpts this size, they're kind of a dream to paint and see and pick out the details and stuff. It's very brown. That'll look a lot better once the wash gets put on there. We get a little tiny bit of visual interest with just a different color. Thanks, Matthew. Yeah, she's coming together nicely. I mean, this there's not a whole lot of stuff to do. I mean, if you're trying to stick close to the the art from the box, not from the box, but from her character card. I mean, I guess I could try to throw a little tiny bit of extremely light blue into her eyes. And her eye sockets are fairly large. So maybe we will do that while the wash dries on the brown. I think I want to throw that light green color onto the what should be the feathers on the arrows. Is it still wet? Probably because I put that medium in it. Because supposedly the feathers, or the arrows are supposed to be just produced from her body, is what I think the book said. I want to add a little bit more of this dark green to the tip of her hair. Clean the brush out and then feather it up. Now the tip's really dark. She is Groot. Yes. She's ended up with a dark spot on the leg here, and that's purely from the way that the white dry brushing went on her. Because I guess maybe the dry brush probably didn't get in here because of the bow. That's all right. Is the brown dry? What are you guys playing right now? Like, have you guys got any campaign games going, or are you playing some non-campaign games or anything? Let this dry and it'll bring back out all those details. I don't have Lost Ruins of Arnak. I almost got it. I mean, I think I've said it before somewhere. I don't know, maybe on one of the times I was on with Barrett or something. Or possibly on my channel. But I got into this hobby of board gaming, not painting, but I got into this hobby playing and wanting to play Euro games. I still love Euro games. But for playing solo and stuff on the channel, there's very few of them that translate well that way. I have done some things, like I played Terraforming Mars multi-handed, like way back in the beginning. What else did I play? I mean, I did the, what was that pirate game? Dead Reckoning. That was a solo mode. I don't know if that's really a Euro game, but I really like Euro games. So when I saw Lost Ruins of Arnak and that they had a decent solo mode, I thought about getting that. What's the one that Ark Nova. I like Ark Nova. And then Robinson Crusoe. I have the old school, very first edition of Robinson Crusoe. So my Robinson Crusoe box looks different than like the current one that's out there. But yeah, that's a great game. So I played that years and years and years ago. I have not soloed Ark Nova yet, which I'm proud. I'm a little happy that I haven't, because I saw that there is like a fan-made Ark Nova variant that supposedly is way better than the one in the box. All right, so there are these two YouTube channels by painters. Casey's channel is called eBay Miniature Rescue, and then there's Brent, who has Goobertown Hobbies. They do a podcast together, and the name of that podcast is Paint Bravely. I am about to paint bravely. Anytime you try to do eyes, you are painting bravely. They don't say that, but this camera is so grainy when I zoom it in artificially like this using OBS. You guys can't even see that, but it landed in there. So one side down. All right, I think that'll come through good when I take pictures. Wow, that actually adds a lot to the miniature. Maybe the lights are too bright. You can kind of see the blue in her eyes, but it's so grainy when it zooms in that far. I mean, it helps when you're using the actual name of this brush, Insane Detail from the Army Painter. Thanks, Brian. Solo campaign for Lost is a lot of fun. How is the... Do you try to beat the score of the AI, or are you playing against like yourself from previous tries or attempts or whatever? Maybe the orange. There's a little part of the handle that I need to cover up with an oopsie color. Have I not used this color before? I have not used this color before. Still sealed. You're given missions to accomplish. It does keep score, but you have goals to meet. Is it the insane detail? Is that what makes you happy, Matthew? Ooh, that came out quick. So I'm just lightening up because I got some green on the weapon and I don't want to put the orange and the yellow over the green. I want it to have its own fresh base. All right, and let that dry. Put a color for the dirt down on the base. This paint's getting a little thick in the bottle. My earth color. I'm probably going to come back and do these like smaller roots. with the wildwood. Okay, see you later, Brian. All right, some of that went on a little thin. I'm gonna let it dry before I add a little bit more. And then I'll wash it. Start with some yellow. Super bright yellow. I want to start with the lighter color here, and then I'm going to go over it and just like drop on some orange here and there. Let them mix together, play around. This orange is way too bright. I'm going to cover that up and start over once it dries, because that did not do what I wanted it to. I'm kind of curious if I add orange, this bright orange on this brown. It doesn't really come through. See what happens if I put the yellow back over it. I have the other orange. That might be a better way to go. No, definitely not getting the effect I want there. So that's going to need to be recoated. Laundry Sunday. I had to get a new washing machine. It's been less than a week. The new washing machine was delivered on Tuesday. That's always great when you got two kids who, I don't know, must do 5 or 6 outfit changes a day, the amount of laundry that we end up with. That's an exaggeration and not true, but it seems that way. I don't understand how is the washing machine running like all the time every day? Where'd all these clothes come from? What I was going to say is, yeah, it broke on Friday, so not 2 days ago, but a week ago. I was like, well, guess I'm going shopping today after work. That was a nice little chunk added to the credit card. Aftermath, no. But now I get the mouse reference. That's the one with the little mice characters, right? Is that the same guy that did the Mice and Mystics game? Jerry something, I think his name was. Yeah, The Joys of Owning a Home. Jerry Hawthorne, was that him? Did he do Aftermath also? Yeah, Familiar Tales. I remember watching a couple of the streams that Robin Mel did of Aftermath. I mean, it's a cute concept. How mice would fare after like a human apocalyptic event or something like that. Putting an extremely light gray color on these stones. They'll get dirtied up with the wash. All right. So I still see a little bit of the earth that's wet underneath there. So I'm going to probably wash that first, then go back and do wildwood on the root, these little tiny root lines coming off the tree there. Mice and Mystics was one of the earlier board games that I remember actually painting. Because I've had that for a long time. Probably 10 years. Has it been out for 10 years? Maybe. And I painted that a long time ago. What was I gonna do? Oh yeah, the orange. Wow, this is really separated. It's kind of an ambery color. Maybe I should have left it bright and then just washed it. Well, we'll see what this one does. Nothing wrong with Mice and Mystics. I haven't played Stuffed Fables or Familiar Tales. What else do I got around here? Terraforming Mars is actually one of my favorite games. I haven't played it in a long time though. I live up in Northern California now, and I had a gaming group down in Southern California. A bunch of really great guys, all of them actually in the board game business one way or another, adjacent, not necessarily for their, none of them for their primary jobs. Two of them are in the video game industry. One was in the video game industry. And then another guy that we played with sometimes is also in the video game industry, but not game design. He's a more of a techie guy. And this one is coming out a little weird. It's extremely orange. I'm probably gonna have to layer on some just regular acrylic paint of a yellow. Unless maybe I wash it with this Nastrag yellow. Let's see what that does. I did not back that dice game. You get to play games with Tiny. Doesn't Tiny have like every game ever? That dulled it down. But definitely need to get to like layer on some edge yellows or something, because that right now it's just like an orange streak. But the other stuff needs to dry first. Looks like we can wash the bottom. Yeah, every game ever and then some. Was also lucky too that when I was first like actually getting serious into the hobby, it was like 2009, no, 2010. I went to this local convention down in Southern California that happens 3 times a year on like the holiday weekend. So it's Memorial Weekend, Labor Day weekend, and I don't know what the other one is. Oh, President's Day. It's February, May, and September? Is that right? Does that sound right? Something like that. Anyway, I was walking around the dealer room and saw this one table that was in there, and I saw the address of the place, and I was like, hey, that's like one number different than the address of my law school. And that was a first year. No, it was already a second year, so it must have been the September con. So it was my second year, 2 out of 4, because I went to night law school while I was working. So I had to go for 4 years. But anyway, it's like the address of this company, this board game company, is one street address different than my law school. So I asked them where they were, and sure enough, they were in the building right next door. So I started hanging out there on the weekends, because they would have this thing on every Saturday from like noon to 5, where you would go in and play test games. Because a lot of the designers would bring their stuff in, and it was like play testing time. And I got to be pretty close friends with the owner and stuff. So I had access to a lot of games and a lot of prototypes. You know what? So Brian, that U-boat game, I never heard of that before, but then last night, or maybe the night before, Kim and Steve from One Shop Co-op Shop streamed. We're doing Steve's like top 10 stealth games, and U-boat was like number 2 or 3. Yeah, so having that place to play at, that was Victory Point Games, and that's actually where and one of the guys that I became friends with, that was a designer, Chris, is the designer of Nemo's War. And he had already done the first edition, and right around then is when him and Alan, the guy that owned the company, were working on designing the second edition of Nemo's War. And I played that a lot, and it's one of the games from there that I have a credit in the rule book for playtesting. That one might be one of probably the most well-known of the games that I actually worked on a little bit. And I shouldn't say worked on, that I had the opportunity to playtest and give Alan and Chris feedback on. Mostly Alan. Dawn of the Zeds was another one. That one's kind of had a little bit of life, some legs. I got a little bit of yellow introduced there. One of the other guys that we played with sometimes was like a manager of the network at Blizzard. So we got to play some games on the Blizzard campus a couple of times. And got a tour of like the headquarters and stuff, and they have this really huge room that has all these really bright monitors and stuff that's like monitoring all the games that are going, like how many servers are up and the status of them. So there was like World of Warcraft, and at the time Hearthstone and Overwatch. So that was kind of cool. And they had this library on campus with all kinds of like video games and books and board games, big board game table to play at, so that was kind of fun. So we just need some stuff to dry on here. Oh, I didn't do her scrunchies. Do I really want to do the scrunchies purple or red? I've done everything else like the art. That would kind of be breaking character. Oh, I keep wanting to mess with this dagger. I can feel it. I just put my thumb into some of the wash that's drying. Oh well. Little insane detail work with the insane detail brush. I'm going to edge highlight this dagger. It's not coming through very well on the camera, but it's looking a lot better in person. And I'm done messing with it. Famous last words. All right, she needs to dry. So, an hour and 20 minutes. I'm actually kind of glad I added that bright dirt green for the cloth. Just adds a different element. That trunk could really use a dry brush. We'll see. I kind of just want to get these done into the table. All right, what's this guy got going on? Let's get these greens out of here. A white cloak. And then kind of bluish, dark blue. He's got a lot of cloth and a little bit of... Are those like leather knee pads? Got lots of straps. And maybe just a little bit of metal on the shoulder pads. Standing on a rock. No gloves or anything. Oh, well, like half gloves. Just some fingers sticking out. I can see his eye sockets also. So we're going to want some interesting blues here. I think I'm going to go with like a blue genie kind of color for the bottom. And it's almost like he's got regular shoes on, not even like boots. He's wearing like Skechers or something. Or are those boots? Maybe they're... Are they knee-high boots? What's going on here, Kerr? I think they are boots. I think they just stop maybe where these straps are right here. Thanks again, Brian. So this is always the fun part of like looking at miniatures. I don't really see where the boot stops, but maybe it stops inside like where this strap is, and like this is all pants. And then some kind of knee pad. Or does the boot go all the way up? Is this part of the boot? Because on this side, this does not look like part of the boot. It looks like a strap going around the back. Unless that's like the flap. Is it like... I don't know. I think I'm gonna paint the whole thing as a boot. All the way up to here. But then this part is really weird. What is it connected to? It's not, there's no straps or anything, so it's gotta be connected. Maybe I'll just make those metal. I can't tell from the art. Can anybody else tell? No, it definitely looks like a different part in this art. Like you can see the pants through right here, and then the knee thing is a different thing. So the boot stops where the strap on the front plate thing is. Okay. He's got like an interesting blue thing going on. Almost like blue jeans. Here's a dark gray blue. I like this color. I also have, where is it? Is it this Hoeth blue? I might do this for his shirt. Yeah, it's some kind of knee pad. It's definitely not metal in the picture, so it must be like a leather. The only parts that look metal in the picture are these shoulder pads. He's got some wicked bracers on his forearms. So I think I will use these two colors for his clothes. We'll go with like pants. This is going to end up looking blue genie. And then a lighter blue for the shirt. All right, but the big question for this model is the cloak. I think I'm going to start with the cloak. I'm probably going to end up dry brushing. So I think I'm going to use this blue pale gray as a base. I'm going to end up losing all of this highlight. But we'll get it back. Because if I put this Apothecary White on there, I don't think it's gonna... I mean, if I start with that, I don't think it's gonna come out right. I guess what I could try is just thinning this down a lot. To kind of glaze it on. It's going to be a very thin coat of this light gray. Doing a lot of stuff backwards from what I normally wouldn't start with this large feature. I mean, normally I'd start with the hard to reach things like getting into his face, which I probably will do before I actually continue with the cloak, because I don't want to hit the cloak. First couple of colors I put on, I usually work very quickly because I'm not too worried about hitting other parts of the model. Okay, that needs to dry. It's very thin. You can see some of the black coming through. Let's go and get to dinner. Take it. See you later, Brian. Just debating, do I want to do the face? Yeah, I can always do the fingers later. We'll wash that. With some flesh shade in a little bit. That actually already looks kind of interesting, the way that the priming is coming through. On the ridges and stuff. Get this first blue down on the pants. I really like these Pro Acryl paints. Got a really nice consistency. These models just feel like they've been really easy to paint. All right. That might need a second thin coat. While that dries, we can go back to the gray. don't know if the dark part of the Apothecary White is going to be dark enough in the shadows on this. And honestly, now that I think about it, I may just leave this gray, not even wash it at all, and then just get the effect that I want using white, using the white dry brush. I think that's what I'm going to end up doing because I don't want it to be super dark, but I want there to definitely be a difference. Going for a white cloak here after all. Okay. Pants need a little bit longer to dry. So let's work with the shirt, and I want to go with the same color on the mask. I don't know if this brush might be too big. We'll see. Definitely not too big for this part. Is that a strap? That's definitely a strap right there. We've got belt, we got a little bit of shirt hanging down here. Shirt in the back that no one's going to see. I really like the way that like blue and silver play together. So I'll probably do a really bright silver for like these metal shoulder pads. I just really like blue and silver together. I've got some more shirts sticking down here in the front. Hey, Kanji. I am blocking out some beginning colors on the cur here. I'll show you what we worked on earlier in just a second. Kanji, what's your starting 4 going to be for Oathsworn? Warden Cur Witch Huntress. So that's cool. I think we only have one overlap there. Oh, did you have people vote on? Is that right? Did we vote on some of yours? So I wanted to do the cur because I haven't seen anybody play with the cur yet. So I've got the cur here. So far we've blocked in a gray on the cloak because I want to go with a white cloak. And the art is kind of whitish gray. So I'm going to do like probably a deep or heavy white dry brush on that gray to make the cloak look a little more white in the end. And I'm going for blues on the clothes. And then we'll get the leathers, like some dark brown leathers. So I got the cur. And earlier we worked on the huntress. I'm not quite done with her. I need just a little bit more of the wash that's drying on the base. Gonna need to get some of these roots. Tried to go really close to the art, so like a light yellowish green for the skin. And then I tried to do a blend in the hair, like from light green down to dark at the tip. And we were debating on doing some color of scrunchie over the hair, which I think would be hilarious, like a bright red or a bright purple scrunchie. But everything on her is supposed to be made from like her and from nature and stuff, so that would totally be breaking character. But I wanted her for a ranged character. I kind of went across the spectrum, I think, on difficulties. So I think she's a 1-star. I can't remember for sure, but so there's her. So I've got those two, and then yesterday I did the penitent. He's like mostly metal. I like the way his shield came out. So the shield, this base part of the shield is actually not metal at all. It's just gray with white dry brush in the priming stage. But then there's metal on the pattern, and then probably a skeleton horde on the book, I think. Yeah, I like the shield. It looks pretty sweet. And then his cloak came out nice. It looks a lot better in person than what's coming up on the grainy. No, don't quit. Don't quit. So we got Penitent, and then I want to do the Priest. I'm still debating on, this has not come through on the camera at all, but in person you can see the highlights on the cape, but I still might do another light purple dry brush just to highlight it more. Then on the other hand, I actually want to play the game before 2022 is over. So there's that. So that's gonna be my 4, at least to start with. I don't know what I'm gonna do as the 2 companions. I want to look at their cards, I guess, first before I decide who I'm actually going to play. But you can swap that back and forth, like who to be the companion and who to be the main characters. I want to play as soon as possible, so I was talking about this earlier. I may actually do the first episode as soon as I get the characters painted, because the first episode is probably just going to be the story. Because in the was it the rule book, or maybe it was that little sheet that came at the top, it said something like, for your first session, if you only have like 1 to 3 hours to play, probably only do the story. And I'm like, and after watching like Barrett and Colin play the first one and Mel and Rob play the first one, they can go for quite a while. So I don't really want to do like 4 or 5 hour episodes taped of story and encounter. So I'll probably do a story in one episode and an encounter in another episode. So if I'm going to do the story only for the first episode, you know, long-winded way to get to the actual answer to your question, then I may just do it after I get these 4 characters painted. Because I don't need the Broodmother to be finished yet. Or the little rats. I'm like 80% done with the trees though. You know, so I got that going for me. Tomorrow, I thought you were playing the 18th. Did you move it up a day? Yeah, those damn trees. I cheated a little bit with my trees because I had a rattle can of brown primer from the hardware store, from the like a camouflage line. So here's a painting tip. If you're looking for different colors of primers in like the greens and grays and black and browns, either Krylon or Rust-Oleum Camo. It's like their camouflage lines of spray of rattle cans. They're designed to adhere to plastic, and a lot of mini painters use those because they're a lot cheaper than buying like Games Workshop primers or whatever. So I primed them in brown. They started in brown. You want to see them? They're down in the garage. They are down in the garage. I might take a break in like a minute to get a drink anyway. So if you're still around, I'll show you one more thing. I started blocking in some colors on her yesterday. So I got a lot of different colors on the rats. I've got her fur into an interesting spot with dry brushing and stuff, and her gross hands and feet. But I gotta do the blood spots, I gotta do the tails and the noses and the hands and the ears of these. Work on everything on the face. And then the spines in the tail. Yeah. The little tiny rats. I have to do those as well. Is that from a song, Matthew? So, what was I doing? Oh, the curve. Oh. Yeah, we are all old here. I actually don't think I know that song. Does Eminem count as 90s? No, he was more like, well, I guess he's late 90s, early 2000s. My 90s music knowledge is probably mostly West Coast R&B type stuff. Just went with the territory where I lived and grew up. So for priming, I used the airbrush to do black primer. And I really debated on what method I wanted to do because I'm trying a bunch of different stuff. So this is going to be another long-winded answer. But I totally forgot the shirt right here. So when I was painting True Vang Legends, I was like, you know what? I don't care about doing like a long, super elaborate job with that particular game. I was like, I want to get it to the table quickly. So for that one, I was like, I'm going to try what Army Painter Speed Paints recommends for using their colors. So I did all white, completely covered it in white primer. So for this game, I was like, I want to try more of the fast techniques. So I want to do a zenithal prime, which I always do zenithal prime. But I was debating on, so there's this, what people are calling this new method. It's not really a new method, but you might have heard of the slap chop thing that's becoming popular. It's a method that's been used for a long time, but it's getting popularity because a YouTuber like put a new name on it, the slap chop method, which is basically using transparent paints, which is what contrast paints and speed paints are, over a zenithal prime or a heavy dry brushing. Are you talking about slap chop, Kanjay? That's what you've been using? So, you know, to make a long story short, too late, I know. Instead of doing the zenithal after the black prime, I just decided to go with a heavy white dry brush over it. I just didn't want to do the extra. I mean, you could do the gray step, heavy gray. Oh wait, that's strap. I didn't need to paint that. Dang it. Oh well. The gray and then the white to get the edges. But I got a pretty deep, I mean, this is the priming down here. I think it came out okay. What kind of varnish are you using? Are you airbrushing varnish on afterwards? Are you brushing on varnish? Are you not using varnish? Okay, yeah. The airbrush should be fine with it. The reason I ask is I used to I used to brush on varnish, and until I started having an issue with speed paint reactivating when I was brushing on the varnish. So I have that same exact varnish, that Vallejo Mecha stuff. So these guys will be the first ones that I'm going to be trying to varnish with my airbrush. Did you thin it down at all? Any drops of thinner in with it, or no? I'm just worried about it clogging up. I'm using lots of different stuff. The Huntress was a mixture of speed paint and contrast paint. There was a normal acrylic done on the brown here, but most of these were one speed paint and two contrast paints over the dry brushing prime method. So all that highlight that's coming through is just all that dry brushing priming. 1-for-1 with water. So you're adding water to your varnish. So far, everything on the cur has been just regular acrylics. Which is the thing with doing that priming method. Like if you end up using regular acrylics like this, all that time spent on dry brushing, the cloak and the priming step just got covered up. But that's fine. It's going to come through nice on the straps and stuff. Of course, I screwed this part up, so I'm going to have to oopsie paint that strap before I put the leather color on it. So let's see, the pants on here, yeah, is this Pro Acryl color. The cape is actually a Vallejo model color, blue-gray. So it's a combination. The shirt is a Citadel layer color. But a lot of the other stuff, where did I, like all the purple on this Priest is Pro Acryl, the two different shades of Pro Acryl. Just been using a combination. The Duncan Rhodes colors should be in pretty soon. I might do just a stream of like, hey, let's do a miniature in just all these Duncan Rhodes colors. And I know there's other sets that have been doing it. Very true. You have to use speed paints with the slap shot. Yeah, you have to use some kind of transparent paint. So either speed paint or contrast paint, or I mean, Green Stuff World has a new transparent paint line coming out. I think Vallejo does also. No, not Vallejo. Who's the other one? I think Green Stuff's worlds are called like dipping inks or something like that, but they're the same thing. They're just transparent colors. There's another one. There's another company that's coming out with a similar style of stuff. I mean, so you can use other types of paints, but I don't want to say it takes work, but there's something else you have to do. Because like I started this whole conversation I was saying is that it's not really a new method. The way that people used to do this is they would use glazes over that style of priming. And you can mix a glaze with any type of acrylic paint. You just either water it down to the right consistency, or you can use glaze medium, which I'm not sure if it's any different than matte medium, but I know like Monument Hobbies is the company that makes Pro Acryl. The bottle that they sell of that stuff is actually called glaze. Is it glaze and wash medium? Is what they call it, maybe. So that's what people used to do. They used to just mix their own. Saw someone change colors during priming to get a darkened effect. I want to try it. Does Monument have speed paints? No, Monument... I don't think so. I don't think Monument was the other company. Man, maybe it was Vallejo. Or Scale 75. I don't know. It was one of those other companies. I know for sure Green Stuff World, and I'm pretty sure that's the one that's called Dipping Inks, which is a very interesting name for it, like dipping ink. Like that makes me think of the old school way that people used to varnish stuff by dipping. Army Painter used to have, and I think they still make it, a quick shade. Not varnish, they used to wash, they used to use a wash that way, where you would dip the model into the thing and pull it out, and it would just be covered. But people did used to varnish that way too. They would dip it into flooring wax, like min wax. Messy, messy. Anyway, what I have started to say about Duncan Rhodes' paints, and I know other lines do this too, but what I'm excited about for this particular set is because I have the whole set coming, and the way the set is organized, it's organized into sets of like three paints, where like it's a base, or like a shadow color, a mid color, and a highlight color, and they're all like grouped together that way. I think I'm just going to try to put Wildwood on this brown and see what happens without putting a oopsie paint over it. What does that mean, Kanji? You saw someone change colors during priming to get a darkened effect. Like they put a darker primer into the shadows. There's a method that's called is it undercoating or undershading or something like that? Where you do something similar to that? You kind of like, it's like a reverse zenithal. You like spray from the bottom. Went with a brown to prime the top and a darker brown for the bottom, primed and zenithal and speed painted. Yeah, so like they did a reverse zenithal where they primed a darker color from underneath. Does that sound right? A little darker brown on the roots. Two colors, one darker than the other, so the speed paint really brought out the blend, yeah. I really want to make sure this cloak is going to come out right before I spend a whole bunch of time on the rest of this cur. So I actually need to, I want to grab a piece of cardboard. I'm going to take like a 2-minute break real quick just to grab something to drink. I'll grab a tree if you're going to stick around, Kanjay, while I'm down there, and I have a piece of cardboard. So I will be right back. Okay, hopefully that didn't break anything. So this is my tree primed and dry brushed. Primed brown and then dry brushed with a hobby paint. So I still got to do these rock things and the vines. So priming it brown, like, cut out a lot of time. Yeah, I think the dry brush came out cool. Thanks, Conte. But there's a lot of the dry brush ended up hitting the vines, so we'll see what gets left behind. But there's a lot of wood parts too that that the dry brush ended up hitting. I mean, it's just terrain, right? I'm not spending a whole lot of time, and I'm not even using hobby paints on this. I'm using like craft store paints, like cheap paints from Michael's or something. Yeah, the vines are going to take quite a bit of time. And whatever these like things on the side are. All right, so white cloak. Just had an internet hiccup. Might have cut out and came back. Oh, do I want to use... This is the only interesting thing about the Pro Acryl stuff is the watery, not watery, but the thinner consistency isn't always what you want when you're dry brushing. Did you wash it after you painted the vines or before? I'm really torn. I did this dry brush in a really brighter color because my initial plan was to put a wash on this, but I really like the way this dry brush looks now. But after the green goes on, because I plan on using cheap paints for the terrain, it's going to need a wash. It's not going to look right without a wash on it. Yeah, after. So I've been trying something new with my dry brushing that I heard about in the last couple of weeks, is using cardboard. Yeah, the vine color didn't come out the way you want it to. So so it also helps too where if you're not entirely, I don't know, accurate or get full coverage of the vines, like completely, not just the vines, but washes help to cover up mistakes or inconsistencies or whatever you want to call it. like if you didn't want to take too much time and you didn't get all the way down next to the tree with the green, when you put the wash on there, if the wash kind of settles in that little spot, it's going to get covered up anyway. So what I've heard from a couple different places is just use some spare cardboard to get the extra paint off of your dry brush, because using paper towel can pull out too much of the moisture. I don't think I got enough paint. This is an extremely dry paint to begin with. And since this isn't like super bright white, I'm going to try to go heavy. Man, this paint is so dry. This is like an extremely old bottle of paint. There is like a weird imperfection in the sculpt on his head right there. Or I shouldn't say the sculpt, in the way that my particular one came out of the mold. It's like a tiny weird imperfection in the plastic. So I'm going really heavy with this particular shade of, this is like called off-white. You just want to barely hit this underneath part. Yeah, dry brushing, it's like one of the easiest things to do. It's like the first, I think, method or the first trick that people should learn when they're learning to paint. I don't know if washing is a method, or some companies have made washes into like a type of paint. But even if someone is just getting into painting and they're using like speed paints, learning to dry brush with speed paints is a good way to up the contrast that you get with those kind of paints too. So I'm hitting this corner right here. So this corner will be brighter than what's way back in there in the shadows. And now we're going to go with a little tiny bit of bright white on top of the off-white. That came out thicker than I'm used to for Pro Acryl. Now I just want to do a super light probably not going to hit the inside of the cape at all with the bright white. This top part though. It's ready for Assassin's Creed. Yes. I heard somebody else, I think, make the Assassin's Creed reference for the Kerr. Man, who was that? Maybe that was you, actually. Maybe when you were painting with Barrett. Did you paint the Kerr on the stream then when you were painting with Barrett? Or were you doing the Huntress? No, you were doing the Huntress. Babe Ruth, that's right. Oh yeah, I forgot about the Brood Mama because there was the all of the Yoo-hoo discussion for the saliva. Yeah, I think the cape came out pretty good. I'm happy with the way that looks. Now I need to figure out how to add back in some depth into that shirt. Yeah, gloss varnish is a good idea for armor because matte can definitely take the shine out of a metallic. Like I put gloss on my Dung Beetle Knight over the Turbo Dork stuff on the armor, and I think it added to it. Yes, so now the question is, do I want to use a contrast color over the shirt to act as a wash, like just thin it down a lot with medium? Or add some flow aid? That could be an interesting experiment. I just need to be very careful not to touch the or mess up the cloak. But generally you want to do the dry brushing stuff if you're going to be doing dry brushing before you do other stuff, because I definitely hit these armor pieces here with the dry brush as I was going. There's a piece of the mask there that got hit with the face color. I'm glad I didn't put I was planning on, or I was contemplating putting a gray contrast color over that light gray to get more shadow on here, but I'm glad I didn't. I think it's fine like this. Definitely see the gray in there. So the only other question, the question now is, do I try to mix up a blue wash for the shirt? Do I try to use, this is probably too bright. So this could, ultramarine blue could be a good shadow color. I just really need to water it down. Let's see how contrast does as a wash type effect. So probably not water, I'll probably use medium, like maybe 3 drops of medium to 1 drop of paint. It's experiment time. Stupid GW pots. Can't you just put your stuff in dropper bottles like normal people? I mean, I guess I could transfer it to a dropper bottle. That's time I could be painting. This still looks too thick. I'm going to add some flow aid. This could be a stroke of genius or a disaster. Try it on the mask just to start with. Ooh, that's too much. Okay, not too bad so far. Adding the medium in the flow aid should help it not cover up too much of what's there and just flow into the recesses. I almost want it to just sit like this so it can dry. I think I'm going to cover the pants with this too. Okay, I'll see how that dries. Might be a little like too much medium and flow aid stuff going on. Just adds kind of just a tiny, the wet stuff is making it shine on the camera, but it's just adding a little tiny bit of definition back into the folds on the shirt. with all the other stuff that gets painted, I mean, that might not even make that much of a difference or be that big of a deal. Kind of curious if I just like target applied contrast, what that would do. And it's just running around with all that other stuff that's already there. All right, sometimes you just gotta let it dry. Thanks, Kanji. See you later. Yeah, I'm about to go myself. I gotta do some stuff around the house. And since this needs to dry, I think that's where I'm going to call it for right now. Maybe back on later. Matthew, if you're still around, thanks for stopping by. Made some good progress today. Got the Huntress done. I'd say the Kerr is probably about 40% done. Didn't get anything else done on the Broodmother yet so far today, but I'll probably be painting again later tonight. So, okay, so anybody who's still here or anyone stop by later, thanks for coming. I hope you enjoyed this Loquitur's Gaming painting stream, and I hope you enjoy everything I put up on the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.